Welcome, everybody. We have a special treat here today with along with my cohort in crime here, Mr. Ming Chen. We have a special person who's in town.
What's up? I know, here I am on my phone. It's been nonstop. I have to apologize for that. I actually need to send out one more message, but I'm going to just forgo it for now. I'm going to forgo it. It's been very busy.
Corin, it's great to meet you. It's an honor being here. Scott, I love seeing you at least once a week. And yeah, it's like, if I can't be in Biloxi physically, I love being in Biloxi like this. So for sure.
Right on, man.
Well, one of the biggest reasons why we want to do something like this, because we wanted to bring some awareness to what Corin is actually doing. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's right. He karate chopped me.
But he's actually trying to do or not trying, but him and a couple of his friends are doing a docu-series, I guess.
Docu-series.
And it's called the Love America Tour. And if you look at the bottom, they have a website, an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook, YouTube, and it ends up with having a lot of fun going around. And, well, you know what? I'm going to let you explain it better in detail.
I don't know if I can explain it any better than that. But really, what's
oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Spill out.
Cram this thing back in there. What really provoked it was
what the heck?
I see you. You're still on. You're still
I'm
here.
on, but I'm hearing
You're still. I don't think you can hear me here.
No, I'm hearing. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I heard you and Mike talking for some reason.
That was hilarious.
All right, sorry.
No problem. So at a certain point, during this whole shutdown and all of that, and a lot of the stuff that was going on with things going on in the media, very touchy subjects and everything, and there was just a narrative that was being promoted out there that really painted a lot of America, as really backwards and not up with the times and not welcoming and divisive and all these things, and it just has never been my personal experience, except, like I said with you earlier, in the 70s when I was a little kid hanging around some distant family members in Arkansas, or where I ever came into contact with people who seemed to have what I would call backwards ideologies, so but in 2020, especially over the last 10, 15 years or so, I just really have not seen what is being suggested, and decided that, why not get out there and go and not only interview some of the people that I've known from Twitter for a long time, talking back and forth on Twitter for some of them upwards of 10 years, and being able to go and meet them in person and find out about their lives and find out who they really are and get their life story. And this became this idea of Love America Tour, which is about uncovering the common story or theme to everybody's lives that we can all find a similar thread through. Because what my point is, I have zero desire to bring politics into this. I have zero desire to bring drama or any kind of racially motivated anything like that at all. This is about the human story, and this is where we happen to live. We happen to live in America. We happen to be Americans, and that's who I'm interviewing. And some of them have moved here from other countries and now call themselves Americans, and it's their American story. So, but the common thread that has been seen, because I'm not motivated to ask gotcha questions or find out about their political bent, is just to ask, where were you born? Where did you live? How'd you grow up? What economic strata were you? What were you up against in life? Who were your mentors? What were the things that kept you back? How did you get over the hard times? And through that, you end up coming to find that everybody has a common thread. We all do, and that's been amazing.
I love that, man. I think you're living one of my dreams. I would love to travel this beautiful country and just podcast with everybody. basically what you're boiling it down to is you're meeting people and you're like, all right, what's your story? Tell me your story. I want to document this. And then and you're cutting it together into a documentary. That's amazing. And I think right now with all the turmoil right now, all this weird, it's been a very weird year. Everyone's flipping out. Everyone's going crazy. If you go on the internet and you're on Facebook or Twitter and you're watching these clips of people, flipping out because they won't wear a mask or whatever. And if you boil it down to just that, it looks pretty horrible. If
right, exactly.
That's out there. But I think what a lot of people don't realize, like that's a minority. They're just kind of taking the worst, like, and out of context in some cases.
It's shock theater. It's total shock theater.
Yeah. It's whatever you want to call it, clickbait, or it sells newspaper,
clickbait,
whatever. But if you actually go out there and you meet fellow people, fellow Americans, fellow human beings, they've got great stories. They've struggled, they've succeeded, whatever. And I think everybody can learn a lot from these stories, and I love that I love that you're doing this. Was there?
Go ahead.
Was there like a catalyst? Did you? I don't know. When did you start this? Did you just wake up one day and it's like, you know what? I want to travel the country in the middle of a pandemic and document stories and show how
it is. Yes, absolutely. Because I was getting a lot of just a lot of flack for not having a fear-based mentality. It's not that I was saying, okay, I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to go against what they say, what we should do, wherever they say we should do it. That wasn't my thing. I was like, look, I'm personally not worried about it. From my understanding of it, at this point, we're at a 0.02% chance for somebody who's has a good, healthy system of passing away from something like this. The mortality rate, and it's getting lower than that every day. That's a whole other conversation, and even that's controversial to talk about. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to avoid that whole thing,
sure,
and just go for showing that it was okay to get together, whether somebody wanted to follow the guidelines of wearing a mask during the interview, and whether we were in a community where you had to wear a mask to go into a convenience store or to go and sit down at a table before you took it off, or whatever the thing was. I wasn't there to go and say, no, we're not, I'm there to find out that, everybody's story. So whatever I have to do to get that story, I'm willing to do. But in the same breath, also show that it's okay for people to come together, to be next to each other, to get to know one another, and to ask each other about their lives. Instead of jumping to conclusions, start the conversation off with, hey, where were you born? Yeah, where'd you grow up? Did your parents stay together? How was that? Did you live a tough life? How'd you get ahead in life? Did you have any good mentors? And then maybe they ask me reciprocate, the same kind of questions.
Yeah, for sure.
And then suddenly we talk about a life story and something bonding and inclusive, and realize, wow, we actually really can all get along and learn from each other if we put the other stuff, leave the other stuff for the voting booth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And quit making rock stars out of politicians, for God's sake.
So what you're doing, though, basically, is you are highlighting humanity.
That's the point. That is exactly right.
One of the other things, kind of steer away from this for a little bit, but I wanted to bring up other things because I know, Ming, you're a big fan of artwork, things like that. Something I found I didn't know till you came down, but Corin is an artist in his own right. He actually is a graffiti artist.
Yeah, I've started doing graffiti art in probably 1983 or 4 or something like that. Wow. When I was a break dancer, but and then when I moved from Atlanta to Los Angeles around 1985 or so, ended up in a pretty rough public school, which was not even close to the roughest. But Walter Reed Junior High and North Hollywood High School were certainly up there for the San Fernando Valley. A lot of graffiti artists at the school, a lot of gangbangers, which was wild coming from Atlanta, Georgia.
Right,
that was wild. Yeah, that tripped me right out. You know what I mean? But I was so into the graffiti scene, man. I got really, really just right into it. And I actually I probably I might have made the newspaper before I made the newspaper as an actor as a graffiti artist when I was about 15. But from there, I just fell in love with the style of it, painting with spray paint, being able to do it on any surface, being able to travel around the world and do it, and I've been all over the world with the acting thing and also the conventions and all of that. And when I travel, many times I'll extend my stay so I can hook up with local graffiti artists or street artists.
That's cool.
And I'll go and catch a painting or go and do some street art with them wherever I'm at. And I've been able to like get up. I mean, I would almost say probably almost in more countries than some of the more famous, graffiti artists out there, over the last 20 years. It's been wild, but I just keep it on the down low.
Yeah, even though we just announced it to a million people.
But my Instagram site is the 169. It's THE and the number 16 and 9. That's where all my street art and graffiti art lies. In there. And a lot of my street art, I use my daughter, my son as my iconographic characters that I use in stencils and hand painted stuff. And so most of the characters that I actually put up are my kids, because I have to travel without them so often over my life that I was like, at least when I'm traveling without them, I can leave them behind in a way, you know what I mean? And kind of have them there with me. In a hipsterish way.
I'm always amazed that I'll be driving in, like I say, like Detroit or wherever, and I'll look up and I'm like, how the hell did that guy get up there to tag that part of an overpass or a building or something? Is it like, where's the craziest part? Like, what do you have any stories about the craziest thing you ever tagged, or the most inaccessible location that you managed?
Well, when I was a teenager, we used to do underpasses and freeway signs and billboards all the time. When I was like 12, 13, 14, when you're tiny like that, you can wiggle up anything.
Sure.
And but they also didn't have a lot of what amazes me now is because in the 80s, they didn't have all the barriers. They didn't have all the barbed wire. They didn't have all the different things that they put up now. And even on the freeway signs, they make these back kind of panels that poke out. So you can't just jump over from the walk, the bridge that crosses by. That's what we used to do, is just go on the bridge that crosses by. You jump over onto the sign, jump down, and you could tag the freeway sign right on the freeway, and then jump back on and run off. And then they started making the barriers where then you have to kind of climb over it, wiggle under it. And I was like, no way, I would never do that. So I don't know how they're doing it now.
Right. I guess, the one biggest barrier to anything right now is there's cameras everywhere. They have cameras absolutely everywhere. And
but now everybody's forced to wear masks anyway, so they're going to be able to pinpoint who anybody is. I'll just go around the corner, switch masks, come out the other way in the opposite direction, and they won't know who it was.
Actually, that reminded me of whenever we get back, they come again. I'm going to take them over to Pensacola. They actually, I don't think I told you, but they have a graffiti bridge. It's an old part of Pensacola where it's legally allowed. It's painted over all the time, but anybody can go and paint whatever graffiti they want on the bridge.
Yeah, I got to do a little bit of that when we were in Alabama and Scott, what was it? Florence. Yeah, in Florence, they had a little art wall. That was that the one that you filmed? Was that the fast motion one, or was that the one in the woods in Texas?
The one in the woods.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so along the trip, I brought some of my paint with me, and I've been able to catch a couple of paintings here and there.
You never know.
But one way back in the woods of East Texas on an abandoned trailer that's back there on a guy's property that we interviewed, but deep back, and no one will ever see it. But you can show it if you want.
Here actually we got a quick time lapse video of it.
Little time lapse.
Let me bring it up right quick.
Let's see that. Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so I mean, it's in the way no one's ever going to see it, but that's what's kind of cool. In fact, me and my buddies, we call them graph safaris. We will go out to the deserts and to really weird places, way out in the middle of nowhere, and find abandoned spots and everything, and then throw up a quick piece, maybe some street art or something else, different styles of stuff. But yeah, so then I try to do the eyeballs in it, make it kid friendly.
Freaking
what I mean?
I love how
it's hilarious.
Escape once you got the black outlines on there. It's beautiful. That's amazing.
Right? Yeah, it just goes pa, and then you see it. Yeah.
I think you should tag the back of Scott's building now. I think that's the next.
Actually, what I was trying to tell them, we have that blue peg wall. I'm like, no, I think we can have it inside so it stays protected, and we have that blue peg wall over here, and we'll get all the stuff on there.
So, one of the things that just going back to the tour part of it, because it seemed like a pretty easy idea to accomplish at first, and unbeknownst to me, the complexities of traveling across the U.S. with just an absolutely, like, when I first thought of this, I was like, we could probably crowdfund $8,000 and maybe rent an RV and drive across and get these great interviews and all of that and everything. And then so I started that, and then we went out and started looking at RVs. Me and my buddy Chad, who was one of the first people to come on board and say, dude, I'll go on this adventure with you, and we'll, and he's a DJ, so he's not a filmmaker. I'm a director, but I've never shot with cameras. I've directed people who use cameras. I've directed editors, but I've never edited really. So, it's me and him, and then another buddy of ours, Scott D, came on board, who's a musician, and he's done some simple editing stuff online, but it's like a musician, a DJ, and an actor take an RV across America. Where's the punchline?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the startings for a great joke.
Yeah, you needed a nun and an Asian, and that would have been a great joke for sure.
Exactly. So, once we started looking at RVs, they were like $7,600 for a month, some of them, for small compact ones. And I was like, what? I thought this was going to be like, like the cheapest thing ever, and then we finally found one, and it was, going to be $4,700 for the month. Plus the other taxes and everything else. So you're really talking about over $5,000. And I'm like, the rest is you can't do it for 8. So then they had to raise it up to 12.
Right.
Then once we got on the road, realized that as we're driving around in this thing, every 6 hours, we're having to add another $160, the tank, this, that. And then the RV parks were way more expensive than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I thought it was like a campground, like $10, right? Overnight. Like, no.
Yeah, and then and then feeding on the road, all of that stuff. And I talked to one of my buddies who's who came on board to help us out, a gentleman named Benjamin Easterday. I've produced some stuff with him over the years, and he was just laughing at my futile attempt to make this excursion fit within the budget, because we couldn't afford any of the technology we needed. We couldn't afford all the hard drive space we needed. We couldn't afford the traveling Wi-Fi plans and all that stuff. None of that could be in there. So for the first part of the filming, we were in enough somewhat populated areas, because our thing was to try and stay off the beaten path, go into the more rural parts and stuff, or less visited parts. And so as we got deeper into those regions, we suddenly went offline altogether. We had no Wi-Fi access. My cell service, I used up all my data on my Sprint data plan. They dropped me down to 3Gs. I couldn't upload anything. We couldn't get online. We couldn't communicate with the world. We couldn't do updates. We couldn't it was like for like a week, for like a little over a week. So 6-7 days, and then an 8th day on top of it. So before we finally came up for air with like some technology, but by then we were so far behind on releasing videos, we were backlogged, and we're having to store interviews that we'd done, because we've been doing so many. We've gotten like over 40 interviews in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, and then down to Mississippi in 3.5 weeks. So you got to think about how many interviews that is, how many people that is in that short of amount of time, in that many states, and in all of the different places that we stopped. It's insanity, the amount of footage we got.
When did you guys start, and where?
We started on the 1st of July, and we started in Austin was our very first stop, and then we went from Austin up through the Waco Henderson area, avoiding Dallas, and then what was that? Where John lived, the knife maker.
Lindale.
Yeah, Lindale, Texas was where you saw that painting. There's a guy there who is a knife maker, blacksmith, and we stopped and interviewed him. And he made. I wish I had brought the knife. He made me the most amazing knife out of a freaking cable that you use to tie boats off at the shipyards. And he heated this thing up and broke it up, and it says, oh, Benjamin Easterday writes, over 80 videos 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Oh, so we've done, I don't know how many interviews we've done. We've done an insane amount of interviews. I think maybe it's 40 that we have left to air. I don't know, but but our point was to get as many as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible and release them as soon as we were doing them.
Right.
So you can see how complicated that could be, especially if you started to shoot with multiple camera angles, the rendering time, the editing time.
It takes forever to edit. You got to sync the sound.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So
put in some graphics, whatever, and then make sure you didn't screw any of that up, and then you upload it, and then after that, like a week has gone by. I know exactly how you feel.
So we had to change the game plan and do like shooting stuff on cell phones, doing some backup shots on GoPros for later use, and like doing single camera style interviews, very simple, easy to do some editing on the front end and the back end. But then even all of that was taking a certain amount of time because of the number of interviews we're doing. So we're having to like, you edit this interview, and then Chad will edit that interview, and Scott, you'll edit that interview. So it's like some of the interviews, they all have a different kind of style to them. Some of them do. There's, it was very difficult for us to try and keep it live like that. And we were able to up until we lost reception, until we went into the dead zone, and then we were unable to like continue doing a lot of the fundraising, PR, and all of that. And to be honest, I got really depressed. I mean, to be perfectly frank, I did. I was just so depressed about the whole thing and not able to get into communication that I started kind of shutting down in a lot of ways on the whole thing. And it was really tough on all of us to just keep going with the concept, because the cost of it was way beyond what I thought. I put all the rest of my cash into it, thinking that this was going to be something that was more perpetuating, you know what I mean, that we could draw out into a bigger and bigger idea, for this concept of going to every single state and then maybe slowing the whole thing down, bringing in sponsors, being able to find ways of generating revenue without having to take revenue from donors.
Right.
That was the original idea, was that we would get to a point where we could start generating revenue from this sponsorship, and that maybe an RV sponsorship there, maybe a camping food sponsor here, or whatever, getting different kinds of things that we'd be promoting while we're on the road and doing that. And it just didn't manifest, because there was just no way to keep on top of it all until Ben Easterday and our guy Husky, who has his own podcasting site, and some other people who came into the fold to help out. But by then we were already 2.5 weeks into it almost, with a 4-week deadline on returning the RV, which you can see. There's a picture of it. You can see the RV we found, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, I got to see this. I got to see how you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that bad boy.
That's awesome. You don't want to mess with that RV.
Well, it's funny because it's actually pretty vintage, man. Nobody can tell exactly how old it is. We're not sure. There's been some guesses, but we're thinking maybe 2003 to 5. But it was so well maintained. But we just feel like we're on our way to like a WWF, like
oh yeah, for sure.
Parking lot party or something in that thing.
NASCAR infield or something. Yeah, for sure.
But our guy at Rick's RV in Conroe, Texas, he's the one who made the deal with us. We were at that point, we were totally desperate. People had actually put money in so fast and were so excited about it. It became like a real reality pretty quick. But with that $8,000 raise, there was no way to get on the road paying $7,600 for an RV for the month. That means I'm going to be putting, everything that I have left, which was not much because I lost everything. But, what comes around goes around. But it's been so worth it. That's the crazy thing, is that like, even though I'm like looking at what I'm going back to Houston with versus what we left with, it's a dark comedy. But the amount of interviews that we've got and the amount of of experience now, just in meeting and getting to know people and getting to know, more of the country in that short of amount of time is priceless,
Right.
So we are hoping to keep running, to keep raising funds to do what we're calling like part 2 of season 1, and we already have a map set up now. We're going to be doing KOA kind of campground stops all throughout.
Right.
All of the regions close to certain city points where people have already registered, because we have an email site, Love America Tour 2020 at tutanota.com, where people can email their with the header with their state, and then the subject, the closest city or town, and their name and whatever. And they can also be on our Twitter site, Love America Tour at Twitter, and a DM, and we deal through that. And then we have a what we call our Love America Tour cell phone now, which another one of our great supporters, Bobby Ben, came through with, and he sponsored that, because we were dealing. You got to picture 3 guys, a rocker, a DJ, and an actor, trying to do logistics in an RV while on the road and filming everything all themselves and editing it and all uploading it and trying to figure it out as we go, because none of us are tech geniuses,
Right.
And we're able to keep it together, but also trying to schedule the interviews using DM there and then Tutanota here, and then okay, we'll share this cell phone there and that cell phone here, and because we didn't have a centralized cell phone,
Right.
because it's a public thing, and somebody could catfish us. Somebody could catfish me by being like Mr. Nice Guy on this and go, oh yeah, now I got Corin Nemec's real cell phone, and go and put me on blast, because there's some people who just hate on me on Twitter for what I'm doing. They literally hate me. They just think that this is just the biggest scam that's ever been perpetrated. And we've done more interviews in a short amount of time that I think it might even be a world record.
Yeah, I think so.
And actually,
Yeah.
I was going to say, anybody also was, as he was talking about, the funding and stuff. If anybody who's listening, and we'll post it, we'll talk about it a little bit later on near the end too. But y'all have a Patreon, you have a GoFundMe page. Anybody who's wanting to help out, please, by all means, donate and help them continue on what they're doing, this great thing that they're doing.
I appreciate that. It's this has been one of the toughest things I've ever done for no pay. I can tell you that it has been absolutely. I when I thought about it in my mind, it seemed a lot easier than it was to accomplish.
Oh, sure.
I mean, this has been a beast, and thank God that some of the other people have come on board. Even Scott here coming in to help out here, introduce us to you, Ming, and then with Ben Easterday coming on board, and our guy Husky coming on board with his live streaming studio in Missouri, and then we have another lady, Miss Nguyen, who has come on board to help do all of the logistics and everything. And these people are all donating their time essentially at this point, and helping us to try and get this off the ground. Eventually, everybody will have to start getting paid somehow. But the idea is, if we can get enough attention, then maybe we can take the pressure off the crowdfunding,
Right.
by getting some type of sponsorships, whether advertising sponsorships or whatever you want to call it, because it wouldn't be that expensive really in the long run. The way that if we can boil it down, which I think we're getting to a point, because Ben Easterday now is being able to set up offsite editing, so we can upload to the cloud, and then Bobby Ben, who's been one of our ardent supporters and a great friend of mine for quite some time now, through Twitter, especially, and he's going to get us the the traveling Wi-Fi that we need for it and all of that. So we have some of these things that we can take off of the menu, but we have to do another fundraiser in order to go through Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, up into Virginia, and then up into Maryland, that whole region. We want to go up into Maine, and then we want to snake our way back all the way across, to the West Coast, and hit every single state except obviously Alaska and Hawaii.
Right.
If you make it up to New Jersey, I can guarantee I know somebody you can stop off and say.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Fantastic.
If you're anywhere near, yeah, I would love. I would love to be interviewed.
And I haven't shaved once this whole time.
I'm jealous. I can't
Our
go.
life is grueling.
Wow.
Neither could I before this.
This is 6 months worth.
Wow.
No, man. I mean, RV life it's no joke. It's a tough life when you're on it like this. I don't know how truckers do it.
You have a cat.
Oh no, Katso Nemec is like,
Oh no.
oh, silly Corky never get paid for it. My nemesis, damn you, Katso.
Oh man.
Katso is this account on Twitter. It is my nemesis account. That is just, people think it's me. So many people think that I have that much time on my hands that I can make fun of myself that well. I would have to be sitting here texting under the table to send that message live right now.
Yeah,
I wasn't doing that. So
nope, I watched your hands the whole time. So, and shout out to Joseph Perez at
Joseph Perez. Thanks, man. Oh, right on, right on. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, he's the trucker from California that we met in Mississippi. Exactly. Yeah. That's the guy that we saw at the barbecue place. Great to see you, man. I love it. I love it.
How are
That's
you
so
getting?
cool, man?
How are you getting your How are you finding people for this?
Well, we have the signups. We have the signups. Which we deal with through either DMs on the Love America Tour Twitter. Some of those DMs have come through me because we were just trying to do this on our own at first. Right. So I was having to use my personal Twitter mixed with the Love America Tour Twitter that we set up, mixed with the Tuta Nota account, which is a secured account, so people can feel safe in emailing back and forth between us, and they can set up their own Tuta Nota account if they want to, and so you get even more layers of protection there in terms of hacking and all that stuff. So but it was just so much for three guys to make to look at all of those sites, set everything up, figure out who's who. And so a lot of times we were also relying not just on the people who signed up directly, but also who those people who signed up directly knew personally. You know what I mean? So we would get let's see, Thomas Parker. I had to import the German Blu-rays of Kent. This is love that show. Thanks, man. Thank you very much. So now that there's a little bit more of a team coming here together, I really, really hope that people will see what it is we're doing, because this is just a skeleton of what the original idea was, for this show. I mean, I was hoping for a little bit more glitz and glam, but we don't have a drone. We don't have a drone pilot. We don't have the all of the data, all the offline data storage that we need. We don't have my computer. When I plug my computer in to edit one of the very first videos that I was trying to edit on my computer, I was already at 94% capacity.
Yeah. These files are not small. These are very big files for sure.
I know. So we've had to squeeze them down a lot. So the compression has damaged a lot of the material that we've shot, because I didn't have the storage space. I had no other choice but to save it at 720, and instead of leaving it at 1080 or something before upload and all of that. And then I had to dump so much of the content after editing because there was nowhere to store it, and we weren't going to be able to shoot the next interview until that was dumped. So it's been tragic at the same time, but we have a lot of the stuff still stored on YouTube and in every other place that we could store it, which has been a nightmare for now, because all those videos we weren't able to put up while we were out of Wi-Fi and cell phone, all of those videos are just stored on like 3 different computers, 2 different hard drives, 4 cell phones.
Yep.
You will be surprised. You will be impressed with them. They are using a Zoom H6 for their audio.
Amazing.
Yes, it is nice. And
that was the only way to go, my friends.
That was donated to us. Yeah, it was donated to us by a really good friend of mine, Cliff Dorfman, who works with a podcasting company out in LA. So we've been recording every single one of those in really high quality, on that, so that we have that for release in podcast form later.
Cliff, you're a good man with great taste. So yeah, for sure. And, that's awesome. So people can actually go and they can follow the website, find out where you're going, and sign up. Like, hey, I'd love to be a part of this, and send you a message to them. That's awesome.
Travels with Charlie. You know, well, that's just the thing is if we had an actual film crew that was following us shooting this thing, oh my God, it would be hilarious. I mean, what we have all gone through together, the three of us who didn't know each other like hardly at all before we got on the road together. Chad and I knew each other because of some podcasting he was involved in, you know, but only online. We'd only communicated online, and he came and interviewed me for another podcaster at my house just before all of this launched off. So we only knew each other for about a week.
Right.
And then Scott came along, and he's the brother of my son's best friend's mother. So we'd never met, but he's like, I'm a rocker. I used to be in a punk band. I love going on tour. Let's do this. And he's doing his own pod. He is a very funny guy, and he has a great, sense for YouTube, a much better sense than I do for it, because I'm not a YouTuber. So, you know, it's been tough to create a style for the show because we just don't have the necessary materials. But if they were filming us trying to keep this thing going the whole time, people would be riveted. They would be riveted in their seats to the drama that ensued to keep this thing on the road.
That's a whole nother story, right? That's a whole nother, yeah, for sure. That's amazing.
But to let you know, you can actually go on their YouTube, I mean their Facebook page and their YouTube. The information is down at the bottom down there, and you can see some of the episodes that have already been uploaded on those.
Yeah. But there's tons of episodes uploaded already, tons. But it's not, when I say drama, I don't mean drama in terms of us not getting along. We've done a great job. There's our man, KZ. I know KZ, who's Kerry Howell right here. He's a writer. We went and interviewed him down in outside of Hornby, Tennessee, and stayed at a really cool not a KOA, but it was its own campground called Big Buck Resort. And Big Buck Resort has its own shooting range. It's got its own shooting range. It's got its own fishing pond. It's got its own archery range. It's got cabins you can stay in. We went down there. We met up with KZ. Got an amazing interview with him. What an interesting character he turned out to be, and quite a writer as well. Has written a couple of books and stuff, and that he published on his own. So it's great to bring attention to him, you know, in some way that we can. But his video should be released in the next hopefully 24 hours or so.
That's amazing. So what brought you to Biloxi then? Was that always on the agenda? Were you passing through?
Well, initially, yeah, he had a great time. Awesome. No, initially it's my good friend Jason London lives down here. He's similar to me. I moved out of LA to Spring, Texas many years ago to raise my family there and all of that. And you know, there's an easier, softer lifestyle there. But at the same time, you know, when you move out of Los Angeles, you also take yourself out of Hollywood, kind of take yourself out of the business. It's a lot harder to scramble and shuck and jive to keep the wheels on the track, you know, career-wise when you leave LA. And then once you leave LA, good luck affording going back. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So Jason lives down here, and it just happened to be in the route that we were taking. So I called him ahead of time because I'd had a number of people request if I could interview some of the actors that I knew as I was growing up and things like that. And it wasn't the main point of this whole thing. This whole thing is about interviewing the individuals that the mainstream media has always ignored and will always ignore, you know, and get their life story and put them on record, you know, and give them a piece of history, you know, as it were, you know. And so, you know, I think it's fair though to say, yeah, I think that's a fine idea. But while we've been here, we've also made some really, really great interviews with locals who live down here, and this gentleman right here, and people who run, you know, are starting their own businesses down here, and people who are just getting back up on their feet again that live down here. You know what I mean? So we've gotten some really great local interviews as well, you know, showing a good. You know, a good
dichotomy.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, they like I said, they've been down here. I guess what about 5 days now.
We're
Wow.
going. Tomorrow will be the 5th. No, tomorrow will be day 5.
Okay, but yeah, they came down. Well, Jason. Jason's kind of like family to us, and like I said, when Jason let me know he was coming down, like, we gotta take care of them while they're down here, and make sure that introduce them to everybody possible to help out with the cause. So that's the reason why I called you up and said, hey, would you like to do this?
And that's what's also been amazing about this journey is the places that we've gone. Like when we ended up in in Hot Springs, Arkansas, one of the individuals who had signed up, who ran a zip line place at, what was the whole name of that?
Adventure Works?
Well, it's Adventure Works at something. We've been so many places. It begins with a CHA something. Well, anyway, it's a his father, Brian was his name, if I'm correct. I've met so many people these last few weeks.
Catherine's Landing.
Catherine's Landing, yes. Adventure Works at Catherine's Landing outside of Hot Springs, and we stayed at a KOA there. And Troy, the father of the kid who was signed up for this interview, and we went and checked out the zip line thing. He gave us a zip line tour. We did a little video of of the whole zip lining place. We got so much footage of it. We don't even know what to do with it yet. It's all going to be for trying to compile this into more of a documentary version of what all of this experience so far has been. Because we have a documentary in here somewhere. We don't know where it is yet, but we have some ideas.
Right.
But again, so Troy, man, he came out. He's like,
hello, Netflix.
Exactly. But he comes out and he's like, he's furloughed basically right now, like a lot of people are. So he's just got extra time on his hands. He's like, listen, I'll get you guys into town. I'll show you guys some spots. I'll let you, came over. We barbecued. He really helped us out a lot, just like, Scott's been doing here, and Husky in Missouri did for us there. And so many other people along the way have done in each of these stops, which has just been mind blowing. Hey, Jen. It's just been mind blowing. The kind of love that's and the welcoming that's happened along the way has been just jaw dropping. And I think that that experience for me, that's not going to go anywhere. That's it's just deepened my resolve that we are, not a country of backwoods, people. We are a country of caring and compassionate and driven, hardworking people, and these are the people who are keeping the grease on the gears, grinding this country forward. Because if it wasn't for the people still wanting and willing to work out there and to keep fighting to work in a time when people are being told you can't work in so many different industries, or there's no work for you now, you know what I mean? Due to all of these different restrictions and regulations, and money is scarce right now for so many, to see that's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It just says it all to me.
Well, I think a lot of stuff too is you'll find that for me anyway, people in a nutshell are generally a lot more caring and understanding than what you see on the news.
Yep.
What they're doing is taking that radical, no matter which side it is, radical, far left, far right, whatever. Those few are the ones that are getting airtime. And it doesn't represent the rest of the right or the left or the center or whoever it is. It doesn't represent the general person. All it does is just shows one extreme for ratings.
Yeah, it was funny. Someone I can't remember who it was. Somebody online. It might have been Chad Lindbergh or somebody who coined the term alt middle. It's like I'm alt middle. What am I going to do? Everybody's going to hate me.
So with everything going on right now, especially everything being shut down for the pandemic, what's been the biggest challenge so far of all this? Besides the money, you're traveling through these towns, and not everything is open. I don't know. Have you found any
that hasn't been? No, that hasn't been an issue to be honest. I mean, especially when you get out into the more rural areas, you tend to find that people aren't as quite as reactive as you would see in some of the more urbanized areas. They're just not as freaked out by it all. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that would make sense, because if you look at what the narrative is, you would say that more people equals more chances equals more anxiety equals more. So less people equals less chances equals less anxiety equals less. But the one thing I can assure you, that if I ever hear that there's a problem with overpopulation again, I'm telling you, there is too many places to live in this country. Just in the states we went to, I mean, I could not believe how many cool small towns, little places, country spreads. There's so many places to live and beautiful places to live. It's deceptive when people are condensed into big cities, and you think, oh, the whole world is like this, until you drive 3,600 miles in a big loop, to find out that actually there's far more room out there for us than even we could ever fill.
Yeah, that's
one of the things too. I'm going to promote another friend of ours' little business right quick.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to get him down. Like, Ming's actually going to be at Pensacon with us this year, and actually,
Jason London just walked in.
We may bring Jason back, and then
I love it.
Here, tell you what, Jay, you sit here. Here, you sit here.
What's up, brother?
Dude, you wouldn't. Man,
we're live with Ming.
Hey, brother.
These are a bunch of people supporting the Love America tour.
What's up, guys? Yeah, so
we're gonna be interviewing Jason
we
tomorrow.
drove through it. It's storming really crazy here today, and we drove through like a little bit too deep. I've got a 2010 Nissan Maxima, a little nice car, but I drove in something a little too deep, and that little front panel that keeps the water from going up, the water got in it and ripped the whole thing down. Oh, so it's like a scoop, right? So it's basically scooping water up into the damn thing.
Oh no!
And so luckily we were right at the near the Dollar General, and so we went in and
bought a whole new fender, because that's about what it should have been worth if it fell off that easy.
It's that plastic guard that keeps it under the fender.
Oh,
it's that plastic guard. It's got those little cheap plastic little pins that go in.
Right.
And so we went to the Dollar General across the street, and we got boot shoot strings. And man, I tell you what, it's tighter. Dude, we MacGyvered that shit.
It's hilarious.
Dude, we MacGyvered it, and now it's perfect. And I was stressing hard because I had to get back out of the parking lot that it happened in.
Right.
And had to go through the same kind of water. And
well, there's no shortage of water here
in
Ocean Springs. I can tell you that. It is everywhere.
You know what
puddles and puddles of it.
Because it was a scoop like that, I backed out.
Yeah.
And went to the Dollar General.
Oh, nice move.
Corin, pay attention. You may need these auto
talking and promoting the.
This is lingering, brother. I'm having a hard time.
He's not talking yet. Bing?
Yeah, he was just talking.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Yeah, I'm here.
There's a lag. There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, no.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I think this project is like the coolest thing ever. I just just in case it rains and there are 3-foot puddles, you're prepared.
This is welcome to Mississippi right here.
Always
I got the cheaper version of it. Just go through the water.
Yeah, but no, he doesn't understand when you walk through the water in Mississippi with those on, you could end up with a flesh-eating bacteria.
Right.
So you want to stay away from that.
I fear no flesh-eating bacteria.
You don't fear any disease. Cool, guys. I'm going to give you back to Scott.
Oh, yeah, no problem. It's good seeing you.
Well, does anybody have any questions for Jason? Let's see. Does anybody have any questions in there? Let's see.
I
have a question for Jason here.
Overwhelmed right
Give
now.
it a second. There's about a 15-second lag from what they're seeing from where we're at.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm sure Jason's gonna be hanging around for a little bit.
Just meow. That's hilarious. Freaking Catso.
I can't wait to
Catso, dude. Just harassing me on the live stream. You gotta even have one live stream.
I love it. We're still filling in for a sec.
Can't get away from.
Oh my goodness.
Josh, what's going on in the world? I got to read this stuff. I see Sister T there.
Yeah, some good folks. We've interviewed a number of these folks as well. Victoria Thurman and Carrie Howell got interviews with both of them, and then Some of them we've seen randomly throughout on the road at different places.
Where's
Chad?
Chad, thank you.
Chad, I think, is outside.
Oh, he just
Probably
said,
not.
does Gary need to come save you guys?
Oh, does, oh.
That's a nice thing to say. Yeah.
That's funny.
Thank goodness thank goodness the Dollar General was right there, and we looked all over. I went in, I was thinking some zip ties.
Yeah, of course.
We'd just do zip ties, because there's those little holes that go through it. You just zip it. It's not going to look that great,
Yeah.
but you can get the whole pack of those little pins, at the auto store for nothing. So figured for a day we'll do that. Of course, Dollar General has nothing like that. And I hear from the other side, Rebecca goes, she's like, babe. I come over, she's like, boot strings. Like the good boot strings.
That's
like
hilarious.
Not even just like
like
regular,
the proper ones.
Dude, man, it's so tight, because I did my boat, my boat knots and all that on it. I tied it so many times. I would almost just keep those on there.
Yeah, you should. You should actually.
Especially with as much freaking water as we get here.
I got some heavy duty zip ties.
Last time we went through water, it fried my battery. I went through such deep water that it corroded the connectors on the battery.
It's so brutal.
The battery died.
So
Well, fun
brutal.
stories, guys. I'm sorry.
No, it's amazing, actually.
Fascinating stuff.
These are the kind of American stories we're talking about.
Yeah.
And
And
this is exactly it.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear these stories. I can't wait to see your interview.
Yeah, man, they're great. They're great.
That's awesome. I can't
So
wait.
so everybody can follow. They can all follow on. They can follow Jason on his Twitter site at Jason P. London.
And I'll be posting a lot of the stuff that we do here together
Fantastic.
too.
Yes,
I haven't started it yet, but I will be.
and they can follow Love America Tour on Twitter, and they can go to Corin Nemec TV, all one word, on YouTube. They can go to the Love America playlist there and see all the videos. I got some uploading even now as we speak.
Scott,
right
what's
now.
your hand? Oh, God, dude. Oh man, don't touch me.
He is.
Oh.
That wasn't
You.
my hand.
You should see what R2, you should see what R2 was up to yesterday. That said, the more support we can get, we can keep this thing going. We can do a part 2 of this whole thing, and I would really love to, just see it keep on the road. This has been a great experience.
Yeah, but if you guys like the show, whatever you can, help with or whatever, and support it, man. Let's keep it going, because especially during times like this right now, I think people need something like this.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I was so I would like to say proud, because he's my brother, but actually envious of his decision to go through with this and do it and just go balls to the wall, and whatever happens, happens. And I think that it's been good so far. And I think
some people think I've gone crazy. But.
Well, you know what? You know what, man? In these times right now, that's jealousy.
You know,
I think so.
who knows though? Apparently, maybe on the second leg of the tour, you might see Jason tag along for a few of them.
Oh man, if I can get
I know,
there,
that's what we were talking about.
If I can get there, I'm there. I mean, he's doing literally my favorite thing to do in the world is to travel, and especially in the United States. I mean, everybody's like they want to go to other places. Yeah, they want to go. I say we have the most beautiful country in the world. Until you see this country, there's
It is awesome. We don't have those rad castles and the European
we
mountains,
don't have
but
those,
still we
but
got rad mountains.
But what we've got is
We've got some really rad mountains.
We've got rad canyons.
Yeah, we got some killer
We've
canyons.
got the canyons.
No one has us beat on canyons. You hear that? Hear that, world?
Oh man, go to Arizona, go to Sedona, go to Zion.
I'm telling you right now,
go to Oregon, go to Montana.
after watching
go to
you two
Utah.
together, we just need to have the Corin and Jason show.
Well, I'm kind of scared of heights though, so when
I'm terrified of them, but I still love to go to the places. I'm the guy that stands way back and has a lot of anxiety about anybody that's even close to it.
Yeah.
Like I'll feel like I'm falling if somebody over there is next to the canyon.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like,
I'm the exact same way. Can you imagine us too? Just terrified.
Like, hey, no. We'll
trying to look over the Grand
We'll do
Canyon.
a forced perspective on the lens, and it'll look like we're at the edge, but we'll be like 50 feet back.
No, see, but we don't have forced perspective in the budget.
No, we'll find the right lens. Artie can do it.
But we just appreciate all the support. We really hope everybody keeps supporting it, and we'll do some more.
Carrie.
Yeah, right on. And we'll do some more, some more follow-ups with Husky, and we'll do some follow-ups with Scott down the road. We'll do some follow-ups with you, I hope, and hopefully see you in Jersey.
Yeah, and we're gonna try to get this fool back here as often as possible. I'm trying to get him to move here.
I'm not against it.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
just
against
gave
it.
my home to my wife.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, I have nowhere else to go.
Hey, and you're getting to stay in that.
What else am I going to
You're
do?
getting to stay in that killer camping ground for free. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I'll give you back to Scott later, everybody.
It's good seeing you.
again. I'll see you.
Yeah,
again.
you'll see him in the interview we're going to do tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. We are cleaning the earpiece and we are washing it down so that we don't get my ear stuff into his
It wouldn't be the
ear
first
stuff.
time.
Okay, I'm going to stick it up my butt now, and now back to
All
Scott.
right, cool.
All right, now it's for protection.
You see what I have to put up with all the time?
Oh yeah, I know.
Don't show your rotten feed, silly. Oh, just more harassments from cats. So it's just.
Oh yeah, there you go. Let's see.
Yeah.
So actually, so we've talked about the Love America tour and everything else, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious a little bit about you. And so we kind of went over a little bit of the artistry and everything else, and what actually got you decided to start acting and getting into that?
Well, I mean that's just was a childhood dream of mine that I had after seeing the movie Goonies. My dad was an art director on Goonies, or assistant art director on the movie Goonies.
Oh, that's cool.
And was a production designer on Terminator 2 and The Saint and The Shadow and Twister and Patriot Games and some big films. So I understood that the art of filmmaking. And when I was about 11 years old, the movie Goonies came out. I saw it. I understood what it took to make the movie, and I was like, I got to do that. And it just so happened my mom was working for the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, as a graphic artist for the Pantages. I mean, for the Fox Theater for the Nederlanders, who also own the Pantages. So she moved out to LA to work as a graphic artist at the Pantages Theater in their graphic arts department. And that's how I ended up in LA, where I met a guy named David Van Gorder, who was well known for playing Waldo in the Van Halen Hot for Teacher video at the time. But he was also in a really reputable acting class called Center Stage LA that was directed by a gentleman named Kevin McDermott, who was an incredible teacher who used a lot of improvisation for his the acting classes it was for teenagers. So to get you used to being relaxed in your emotions and your responses and all of that, we would do a lot of improvisational stuff. We'd even memorize our scenes, improv them first, and then do the scripted version of it, after and all that. So it was a really great place to study. And then after studying there for about, I don't know, more harassment.
Yeah, I'll wait till you get done. I'll wait till you do
But
anyway,
man, no, it's just they ended up having about 6 months into it, they did a showcase for agents and managers, and I was about 12 years old and did a showcase. They saw my acting. They thought, wow, this guy could be really good. And then I went and auditioned for an agent. Abrams, Rubaloff, and Lawrence was the name of it at the time. I got the agent, and I went on my first audition in 2 weeks for Paul Ventura casting for a Suzuki motorcycle commercial, which I landed. So my first audition, I got the job, and it turned out to be the motorcycle commercial that they launched for the Super Bowl the following year, 1985 or 6 Super Bowl. I can't remember which one. I think it might have been 85, but my uncle was down in the Caribbean on vacation at some beach bar watching the Super Bowl, and suddenly I popped up on there, and he's like, "That's my nephew!" He's going all crazy and stuff, and he's a little funny as it is, so people just thought he probably was crazy. But that was like, the first experience anybody in my family or I had with, the idea that somebody seeing you on television could make them, freak out.
Well, you also had a good chance. I mean, you've been very, I guess the word be fortunate. You've actually got your name attached to some really good sci-fi franchises and superhero comic book franchises. I mean, there was, of course, Stargate. A lot of people are going to remember you for Stargate.
Yeah.
You were Jonas Quinn on there, and then also, but you did a small stint on Smallville, and probably one of the most popular shows on TV right now still, Supernatural.
A little bit there. Yeah. I just didn't get the longevity that I could have used. But it's been great. I mean, in all honesty, you know, most of my jobs in the last number of years have been with individuals that I've worked with for a long time. Brian Skiba, who is a director and a writer and a very good friend of mine, and he brings me on to a lot of his films. My buddy Kyle Rankin, who's another writer director friend, that we did a show called Nuclear Family a number of years back for Voodoo. When it was launching.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so we did a series for them that was really cool, post-apocalyptic series. That should have sold. I mean, it was a great show, actually. I mean, it was amazing, especially for the web. And it just, I mean, nothing happened with it. It's like, you know, those times are rough, you know. But those directors, my buddy Stan Spry comes through for me quite a bit. But most of the jobs that I get really are, you know, my buddy Dimitri Gelfand as well, writer director. You know, we get our own stuff off the ground. We produce these small Lifetime movies and all of that. And that was the problem, is that, you know, normally that's what I'm doing. And in those 6 months, I couldn't do any of that, and it just broke me. It just financially broke me, not spiritually broke me. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
You know, but that's about reinventing oneself, and so, you know, unfortunately, you know, tying myself up with Love America Tour, which is a passion project for me. You know, it's how the universe operates. As soon as we got on the road, I got an offer to go do a Lifetime movie in Dallas. And I'm like, if I do that, this whole thing has to shut down. I got to send everybody's money back. This thing is over. And I decided, you know what, I've already committed to this. This is what, you know, I'm supposed to, you know, to follow through with. And that's why the universe is putting this offer out there to see if I'm just going for the money or if I'm going for the passion. You know what I'm saying? Because Lord knows I got bills to pay just like everybody else, you know. So and I had to go with, you know, what my honest heart was telling me to do, which was to go through with what I said I was going to do, which is exactly what I've been doing the whole time. And it's been exhausting, grueling, and rewarding in every way.
That's awesome. So how long are you going for?
How was that catfish?
How long am I? Well, the idea is to get to every state. We
Okay.
You know, the way that it's worked out, you know, we did have some, we had some setbacks with the RV. We had some issues with it. We had to get some stuff fixed on it. You know, that put us behind in the middle of or sort of the beginning of the tour, put us behind by a couple of days. You know, but I mean, we don't really know. That's why we have the scheduling happening now, so that we can try and really squeeze it down. Because how long is it in each of these campsites? How long do we really need to be there? Is it 2 days? Is it 3 days? Is it 3 days, 2 nights? What is it? You know, so, you know, that's what we're hammering out now, so that we can streamline this and get the whole entire map out ahead of time to all of the individuals who are interested in being involved in it and coming down and getting interviewed, or just coming down and hanging out. We've had some people who didn't want to get interviewed. They just came down to hang out. You know what I mean? And they just like, nah, I'm not interested in being interviewed, but just wanted to come down and meet and say hello and hang out. And that's great. That's what it's about too. So if we put it out ahead of time, then some other people can get campgrounds at the same place during the same time period.
Have a big party.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the idea of a flash party, because that was one of the ideas that I'd had initially launching this, was that if it gets popular enough, you might not be able to interview all the people that want to participate, but we could live stream a flash party at some restaurant or this or that. But then obviously there's restrictive things about that too. So at a campground, I think you could suffice to say that it would be okay to all hang around a campfire together and live stream that if everybody was
Yeah,
camping.
for sure.
Well, heaven forbid all this craziness is still going around, but if you go in there, you look at some of Ming's stuff. They have a studio called A Shared Universe.
Yeah.
That's a podcast studio, but and then of course the Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash, which is Kevin Smith's comic shop. But they've been setting up outside of the Secret Stash and started I guess the whole downtown area. They blocked off the streets, and people can wander around from bars and restaurants will set up in the streets. Am I wrong?
Nope, you're right. Yep, restaurants will set up their tables in the streets for outdoor dining, so everyone's safe. And yeah, we're like, well, why don't we set up too? So we set up a whole live streaming booth outside. We're doing karaoke.
That's great.
We do stand up comedy.
Brilliant.
Hopefully you'll be up at one of those points, and yeah, maybe we can interview out there or something. So for sure.
We got to do it. Yeah. We got to do it. I definitely have. I mean, Jersey's on our list.
Yeah, I'm in, and I'm gonna help you promote this for as long as you go, and as I want to see, I want to see this, all cut together, and I can't wait to see it for sure.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much, and thanks everybody out there for tuning in. Everybody in the chats. Yeah, it's really appreciated. Love seeing all the familiar faces there, and
bad words
new
for
ones.
Kenza.
And yeah, Katzo's always welcome. Katzo's harassment is a joy to me, actually. It uplifts my heart a bit. But it's getting a bit late, and I know that we all gotta get on with our evenings, and we still have editing and uploading to do. In fact, Scott's right off camera to my left over here, editing as we speak.
Well, everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. Ming, thank you for joining us for this.
Always. I'll see you soon, Corin.
Yeah, love you, Ming.
Corin, thank you for
love you, buddy.
by.
Wish I could give you a hug, air hug.
And thank you everybody for tuning in.
Love you too, Jason.
Hey, wait, Jay, Scott, come over here and say hello to everybody real quick.
Oh yeah, we got at least let y'all introduce some other people that are involved with it.
There's Scott. Yeah, the Scott.
Hey, Ming.
The other Scott.
The other Scott. Yeah. Well,
the other Scott.
We're not sure which one's first. But yes, everybody, thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Love ya.